Hi, welcome to the Stitch TV show. I'm Lynn.
And I'm Pam. We're happy you're joining us today. The Stitch is an online quilting talk show, the perfect soundtrack for your sewing room. Join us for twice monthly talk shows, virtual stitch-ins, celebrity interviews, book clubs, and podcasts. Learn more at thestitchtvshow.com.
And other fun videos. Our show today is brought to you by QT Fabrics, and we have Mermaid Merriment fabric, which is really super cute. And a lot of their blenders are in it. I mean, were used in this quilt.
So I almost absconded with this nice teal one here while I was folding it up for the bundle. I was like, oh.
See, but this is mine. She said, because it's mine. Normally I don't get them, but today I do.
Ha-ha.
Ha-ha.
Victory. What are we talking about today?
Today we're going to be talking about our first quilts. And which
just my face.
I'm like, oh, my first quilt is hanging behind us, a little nervous. And our travel projects. And we are joined by my first quilt, and I really haven't named it. She has ...
Actually, there's 5 dots.
There are 5 dots.
Very excited about the ellipses.
It's 5 dots. Because
you're going to name it now?
5 dots. Actually, it is a traditional log cabin.
No, it's not. It doesn't have a red center in the block.
True, it doesn't. It's traditionally piece log cabin.
There you
go. And this is my first quilt, and it was because I read Eleanor Burns' book, Quilt in a Day, The Log Cabin, and that was my first quilt book. So I didn't do it in a day.
Well, don't ruin it, because our first topic is our first quilt.
Oh, that's right.
So
sorry. So it's a bit. So anyway.
So I heard you just took a 2-day class.
I did take a 2-day class on thread painting. So this is first, and this is what I've done recently. So we did, we took fabric and thread painted all the stones for the wall.
Very nice.
And then I need to hold it up. And then I thread painted the tree and grass and made these conifer trees and all the leaves with different shading. All on my domestic
and for
sewing
reference,
machine.
You can tell fabric work versus thread work.
Yes.
Ta-da.
Ta-da.
Are you gonna age the stone in the house at all? Like put a little detail in there, or is that too far
She
away?
didn't in the class.
Oh.
And I don't know because it depends on how thick the thread lays down and all that kind of stuff.
So did you use different weights of threads?
I did. I used 30 weight, 40 weight, 60 weight, whatever color I liked. Of course, the thinner the thread, the less you see, so it takes more thread to cover an area.
Cool.
So part of this is because this is thin thread and it's aerofill piecing thread. So it's not as heavy as the sulky 30 weight cotton.
Well, and weights vary by manufacturer. So
true, that's very
Aurifil's
true.
50 weight is very different from Sulky's 50 weight is very different from Wonderfill's
so
50 weight.
Yeah, and I used Wonderfill is the tree. Sulky is part of the grass, and Aerofil is part of that. So I use a lot of different companies, kind of thing. It was fun. It was an interesting class, and I felt like, because I don't thread paint on my domestic machine.
Until now.
I do most of my thread painting on my long arm, but with something that small and to do it in class, it's hard to pack up your long arm and take it to class. It was good for me to work on my machine that I don't normally use. And so I felt like I got better at quilting on a domestic machine by doing that because of the control you have to have. And it's the same principle. We did this on Timtex, which is what gave you the stabilizer, which helps you lay everything flat. If you don't have a stabilizer, you can't thread paint this.
Oh, yeah. It puckers up.
It would, Yeah, it would be gnarled. It would be a gnarly tree. So, but I enjoyed it. I would do it again. This was the class sample, so everybody did something similar to this, and she was teaching us different, techniques, kind of thing. Most of her stuff was very natural, organic type of thread painting. So leaves and trees and stonework and grass, and she showed us flowers and that kind of stuff, vines, how to do vines. So not, like Alice in Wonderland. Most of my thread painting has been more whimsical. So that was interesting to do that. And it was Bonnie Langenfeld. Yes. And it was a great class. She's out of Florida. So good 2-day class.
Good
Yes.
times.
Good times.
So, our first quilts. You'll note mine is not here.
Yours is not here because you gave it away.
And honestly, I am not sure that I know exactly what my first quilt was.
Okay.
I have several firsts. I have like the first quilt I made, which I think is a panel quilt. I got a panel at a store.
How do you think it's a panel quilt if it had a panel in it? I'm pretty sure that counts.
Well, no, I remember a panel quilt early on. I think that was the first one I did.
Oh, okay.
That's what I mean. Not, we get this panel quilt. It may or may not have had a panel in it.
Okay. You can see where I was confused.
Yes, I can.
Okay.
Of course, it had a cat on it, and it was like me and my singer without a walking foot. Layered it, basted it, didn't add anything to it to make the panel bigger. I thought, well, this is how big it is.
It was 36 by 42.
Landscape, not even portrait.
You were not going to have warm toes with that quilt.
No. And I didn't even free motion, like traced around this cat and the ball of yarn with a regular piecing foot. Girl, so many puckers on the back. But I was like, someone will love it. I have no idea if anyone loved it or not. And I think I donated it to the cat shelter to
be auctioned off
or
something?
Or auction or something. It was not a great first effort worth auctioning, to be honest. But then also there is an early pieced quilt that I made my mom. And it was, my parents had been to Hawaii, and I saw this bundle of Hawaiian fat quarters. And so I just thought, how many squares can I get out of a fat quarter as big as possible? And I think like 6-inch squares, and sashed them, but didn't know to call it sashing. I just called it lattice. I gotta put this lattice in my quilt. I don't know what it's doing. And of course, I didn't use cornerstones or line anything up. So like it's supposed to be rows of squares, and they're like, it's not good. Mom still has that.
So you get to go back and visit it.
Yeah. And then there's the first one that I made for my kids
when they were babies. Babies don't care, by the way. We're pretty sure.
Now I had planned. I made one. So with my first pregnancy, we didn't know what the sex of the child was.
Right.
I had a feeling. My husband didn't want to find out. So we were all surprised, except for me, because I kind of knew. But it's like that weird lady vibe of like, I know what I'm having. Kind of like when I got pregnant again, I'm like, this one's going to be a girl. And it was. Anyway, bodies are weird. So yeah. So I had planned to do like an airplane themed, my first applique. Didn't know to like double layer the white. So there's stuff showing through the puffy clouds, gingham, and anyway.
Yeah.
But the one that I used for us just like lay on the floor for the babies to roll around on was, I got a very vibrant multicolored cat print for the background. Shocking. Cats. And then I got like a pack of brightly colored flannel, like rainbow colors.
Right.
Cut it up into squares, pieced it so it's like red, pink, like very expected. Not mixed up at all. Didn't even quilt it, tied it with yarn. The binding is horrible. I found it.
Fine.
I was cleaning out the living room yesterday and found it, and I'm like, oh, bless its heart.
Oh, so you didn't bring it up, but
I meant to, but then I forgot this morning because I
Yeah,
put it in the pile of things to be washed and I didn't want to bring it like covered in dog and cat hair and
there you
whatever.
go.
So, oh,
Yeah.
but the bind, I will take a picture and put it in the show notes of this horrible binding because I didn't know how to do diagonal joins when you like get to where you need to join the ends together after you stitch it on. And so and it's flannel binding, so it's not a slim.
No, that's got some bulk to
It's got
it.
some bulk to it. And so what I used to do is get the tail on one and then I'd be like, oh, here's the piece I just finished. And I would just fold it.
Oh, right.
And now it's like 3 layers of flannel at one join seam, fold it over.
So it's really like
It's not good, guys. But
six.
we'll have a picture in the show notes for sure. For my shame. So Lynn is not the only one.
Yeah. Well, I think, this is probably great to show from the standpoint is we all have to start somewhere. And we've all started at the beginning. But this was my first quilt, and it's my first 2 things. This is the first quilt I pieced, and I had it in blocks forever, without piecing all the blocks together. And then when I finally did that, it's the first quilt that I took to the long arm and learned how to long arm. So it's my first piece blocks and my first long arm experience. And it's pretty basic.
Serving up 1980s realness.
It is. This is when I do a trunk show about appraisals. I do pull this one out as a representative of the 1980s quilts because this is made with polished cotton, which we can't get anymore. They don't make it anymore.
Darn.
And yeah, there's a reason.
Shucks.
So it's made out of polished cotton, and it's made by the Waverly Company. So this is like pretty. This right here is pretty famous. Standard
coral
80s
print.
Yeah. They wanted me to put, when I went shopping for this fabric, at Hancock's of Paducah. So the store is still live and existing. I've had conversations with the owner. They wanted me to put the center a pink, and I've never really been a pink fan, so I rebelled against that. And I think because I didn't put it pink, it doesn't scream 80s. It nods to the 80s. But had this had a pink center, it would have screamed 80s because that was a very classic combination. Pink, or if I would have done a peach. Like hunter green and peach were very big combinations in the 80s.
It was my sister's room. It was painted peach.
Yeah. But it's the but it's traditional in the standpoint. I mean, you have the light side of your log cabin and a dark side of your log cabin. This is the barn raising quilt layout, which is what I liked. What I didn't do well, and what I didn't know when I first started, was 1/4-inch seam. And when I first,
who needs that?
Who needs that?
I didn't either.
That's crazy.
I only ever used squares when I first started.
Well, so part of these were pieced on a friend's sewing machine, and then part of them were pieced on a sewing machine that my father gave me. And the one my father gave me, the little line next to your needle was different than the little line next to the needle of my friend's. And so I thought the lines were standard. So half the blocks were like an inch bigger than part of the block. So you will notice lots of gappage in me trying to put those things together. And so I didn't know what I didn't know. It's kind of like you were talking. A panel's as big as the quilt was.
Ta-da!
Ta-da! So when I finally pieced it together, I had a lot of different. I probably should have trimmed them down. It had a different look. I had to trim some down to the right size. So, and then I took it and learned how to log arm on it and just did loops, kind of thing. But I'm sure the stitches are
toe catchers.
Exactly. But I've had it for years. I mean, it's been a.
So, what would you recommend to someone as a good pattern to start with?
Log cabin. Honestly, the log cabin is one of the best patterns to start with. It teaches you cutting, and it's straight piecing. There is no where you have to deal with half square triangles. There's no, you know, weird angles that you're going to have to play with. It's all you get. And this design, if you do a light side and a dark side of your block, you can do hundreds of different layouts. So it's very versatile. I should probably show you another quilt that I've done with the log cabin. I've probably made I've probably made 4 or 5 log cabin quilts. But I think it's a great beginner block. In fact, it is the first block I teach in my beginner class. Because you get to, you teach them how to cut precisely, and they have several different things that they need to cut. And then it's all straight line piecing. It's not, and they get to practice that 1/4 inch seam, which is kind of important. Later on, you'll figure that out. So.
Not if you use a panel.
Don't care.
1/4 inches for suckers.
Panels don't care, just like babies. So, but I think everybody starts somewhere, and it's a
journey.
It's a journey. What I'm doing now compared to, I mean, it's a long way. It's a long way from, log cabin, but it's a totally different technique too. So there's a little bit more skill in that than this. But
some people do go straight to winning ribbons at Houston.
Yes, I have friends who've done that.
So we're not talking about them. They're nice. They're delightful.
They're
very talented.
I have one of her quilts.
That's
too.
Nice.
And not everybody's there. Now she won a ribbon in a art category, and she's an artist, and there's that. She is an art background. So yeah, I'm that was my first. And polished cotton. God, you gotta love the polished cotton.
Well, after you wash it, it unpolishes.
Does it really? I've never washed it.
Oh, yeah.
I've never washed it. There you go. It does not smell.
It doesn't much.
It doesn't. And I used I used that in the binding, the little checkerboard. Which, by the way, checkerboards are cool now, too. So,
I do love a good buffalo plaid.
They're trendy.
It's very Sigourney Weaver's shirt in Ghostbusters too. Just saying. It's a very deep callback.
Boy, that's like
Things are
deep
Googling.
track right there. Yes, they are. Sigourney Weaver Ghostbusters. She was
with some skinny jeans.
Gatekeeper.
Yeah,
the gatekeeper.
Which Ghostbusters 2. In the first one, yes.
Yes. Oh, Ghostbusters 2.
She was an art restorer in the second one. She probably was in the first one too. We just never saw her do it.
Oh,
anyway,
maybe not. Anyway,
that's fun.
So everybody needs to go back and look at their first quilt and see where they are today. Where they are today, and I think looking at quilts that I did 5 years ago, I'm like, oh wow, like I'm a better quilter now than I was 5 years ago, and 10 years ago, and 20 years ago. 2 years ago. All right.
So now we're going to take a closer look at Lynn's first quilt, and we'll be right back.
Welcome back. Now we're going to talk about travel projects because we're coming up on the summer kind of travel season. So when you travel, what do you take with you? Quilt wise. I mean, aside from like suitcase and like, cause I knew she was going there. Toothbrush, underpants. What do you think I'd do? What do you take? Do you take stuff to work on while you're gone? No.
How long can I stay quiet and she'll keep talking? That's what I'm thinking.
This is going to be a short topic.
No, well, so I went from...
was this a viewer-suggested topic?
I don't remember.
Okay.
It's all
I just wondered.
We're just one with the audience. We hear it. It's coming back. Yeah. I used to take the English paper piecing for my Diamonds in the Sky, but then I got the whole thing put together. Now it doesn't travel well because it's a full-size quilt that I'm trying to hand quilt, and it's very hot when you try to road trip in the summer.
That would be true. I could see where that
So
would
I've
not
kind
work
of
out well.
struggled with what my next hand project is. I've had a couple smaller wool ones that I've worked on.
But wool's hot.
Well, this is
Well, a
like
little.
tiny, like penny rugs, or
Oh,
I
those are
have
cute.
the trouble I ran into is I didn't have time to like cut out all of the shapes, which would have been helpful. So trying to like cut out with templates,
In a
not great.
car.
In a car, not great.
For someone who gets kind of car sick, yeah. I don't do that well.
For sure, car sick. Although when we do road trips, I do take motion sickness medication, but usually it knocks me out, and all I want to do is just zone out and
It
listen to
knocks me
podcasts.
out. Yeah, it makes me sleep. And grumpy. It makes me grumpy and sleep.
Yeah. So typically it would be English paper piecing or like an embroidery or a wool applique.
Okay. Yep. Do you ever take your machine?
No.
Really? I've got friends that take their machine travel. Like they will take their machine to, they rent a house at the beach or something. They'll take their machine down there and sew while they're down there.
It used to be we couldn't fit the machine because we had so much baby crap. Babies are small, but come with a lot of bulky accessories, playpens, stroll. Like we used to have to get the extra thing on top of the car to haul all of the baby crap. And now the kids are bigger,
so they have less stuff.
So their accessories are smaller,
right?
But we still have 2-3 suitcases, 4 suitcases in the back of the car,
right?
And honestly, I'm not gonna go on vacation just to ignore my kids there like I do at home so I can sew.
Well, now I will say that my friends who do this travel with their husband and they rent a place at the beach and, you know, that's kind of their week at the beach.
I mean, once I
she'll
kick these
sew in the evening and stuff.
yahoos out of the house, yeah, I might.
You're doing it. Going down.
Yeah, 12 and 14, I still got to pay attention to them every once in a while.
Yeah, you do. That's
Throw
how
some
that
macaroni
works.
and cheese at them, you know.
Well, okay, so if you are traveling with your machine, I would have a couple of suggestions of something you should take with you.
A small lap desk on which you can put your featherweight and sew while you're driving.
Okay, that was so not on my list.
Which I have seen pictures of.
Sew while you're driving. I could not sew while I'm driving.
While someone else is driving, not while you're actually driving and sewing. That is dangerous. Do not text and drive or sew and drive.
I know you had to see the look on my face like, what the heck is she talking
No, I have seen and I think Bonnie Hunter posted it, and I don't know if it was her doing it or someone else, but they had
I hope it was somebody else.
Well,
she was driving.
She was not driving. She was riding.
Okay.
And
with you.
They had a lap desk in the passenger seat and like a featherweight on top. Because you can get a power inverter that could run from your car and convert it to the AC power that you need to power a sewing machine. Because that's what we used to run the DVD player with for the kids until we got fancy and everybody just got iPads. But yeah, you're legit piecing.
I legit would not do that.
Well, I would have to take the Dramamine again.
Okay, let's just say I didn't have a Dramamine issue. I still wouldn't do that because I sew through things that are not supposed to be sewn through. Mats.
But see, you're not going to have all that extra stuff. I mean, aside from your fingers, that'll be in the car with you. But you're not going to have random extra mats and stuff. Like, you got to be efficient.
All right. Well, if you did do that, and I would wait till I got to the hotel and or house I've rented, the B&B. Airbnb place, I would definitely I would prep it.
Yeah, kit it up first.
Cut it out.
Have it ready to go.
Have it ready to go. I would buy a kit. Like, that's the kind of stuff that I wouldn't be wanting to design while I'm traveling because I'm out of my element of my sewing room with my, fabric stash, extensive fabric stash, to be able to go, oh, that's not the right green. I need this green or whatever. So I'm not designing. I wouldn't be doing any of that. It would be something like a kit I bought that I liked. And I think kits are great. That, I would cut it up, make sure it was in the right sizes for what I'm sewing, that kind of stuff. Simple piecing would be the key to that. To where you're not, do a log cabin. Do that quilt.
Do string blocks.
do something easy. All half square triangles. I don't know, because then you have to cut those apart. Maybe not half square triangles.
No, not how when I do mine, I don't do the old mark the line and sew on either side anymore.
What do you do?
Well, if I do have to mark the line, I will just go ahead and cut on the freaking line. Then you can just sew a 1/4 inch seam like normal.
Okay. We need to talk about that again. So if I were taking a machine, that's what I would do. I'd do a kit. I'd do something simple. I wouldn't be designing. I wouldn't be trying to figure
Pack
out.
extra thread and bobbins
Right.
and needles.
If I were doing, okay, so, but if I'm hand piecing,
You're still kidding.
I'm still kidding. Like this. And this is a Mickey Dupree technique. So I cut all my pieces and I put them in these little baggies. And this is all for one block. Like all these pieces are going to be in one block. And so they're all ready to go. Right? And put them in a little baggie. So then that baggie goes with me. And I'll have several of these little baggies. So when I get this one block done, I have the next baggie for the next block. It's already cut out. The other favorite thing, this is an awesome tool. One of my favorite tools. It is a needle quilt dome by Clover. And you can put 10 needles in it. And you can pre-thread all of these needles. And it makes loud clinky noise.
Please stop.
She'll throw it. She took the last thing away from me.
Drop it.
But if you pre-thread all of your needles while you're hand piecing or English paper piecing, whatever kind of hand sewing, you're not having to be in a car going, while it's moving. So this is handy, and you can get 10. This is my little pin cushion that I have that I can put thread on. Pin cushion. Got a magnet. Like it.
What does the magnet do? Is it just there to be a magnet?
It holds pins and needles
Okay.
so that they don't fall and go away. So a magnet's very helpful. They also have those little needle minders that you can wear as buttons.
Don't put pins in your mouth.
That's
Ever.
good, yeah.
Because you can swallow them.
And that would be bad.
Now you have a punctured lung or stomach.
And there's surgery involved. That would not be good.
You can't just use the old magnet and just I'll just drag it back up. That does not work. We are not doctors, but we know that.
And then I also take with me, I have this little cute zipper thing that I
Oh, good,
made.
more zippers.
I like zippers. Readers, because sometimes you need things that's a little bit magnetized. I have our cool thread thing, which is thread cutter. Is that the
Thread
name?
cutters.
Thread
with a Z.
cutters. So you can cut your thread.
And that one glows in the dark.
It does. So for all the night sewing that you have. And my little scissors. So scissors. And then I have safety pins. I don't know why I have so many safety pins. I'm not sure about that.
Safety?
For safety. But then, then you sit around and you sew and you make these cute little, this is a castle wall block. So this is my current sewing project right now. Hand piecing project that I sew on.
So one thing to be aware of, if you need to do pressing.
Use your finger.
Finger pressing for travel.
Yes.
If you pack an iron, don't store it with water in it. It'll get funky. Don't rely on a hotel iron either, because sometimes other people are not respectful of how irons should be treated, and there's gunk on them and weirdness.
And they spit. They're rude,
Like
as
camels.
you've said before. So, but when I do travel, I have everything kind of ready to go so that I don't have to, and I take this stuff everywhere. I used to take this and sew in church. on a regular basis. I pretty much pieced that king-size Castlewell block in church. That's where I did most of my piecing. It's a very spiritual quilt. It has a lot of love in it.
It's holy.
It doesn't have any holes in it. It has a lot of love in it. Anyway. So, any other good travel? I'm not going to talk
Like,
after
what about lighting?
Oh,
Because sometimes lighting's not ideal. Do you have a little light you take with you?
I don't.
Maybe you should.
That'd be a good idea.
Yeah, there's all kinds of little, like, clamp-on book lights can sometimes help,
Mhm.
which is something I've clamped on when I do hand quilting. If the lighting's not great, I'll get one of my book lights, like an LED one, and clip it on my hoop and have it point over that way, and that'll help.
That'd be good.
But
That's
then you
a
got to
good
pack
idea.
extra batteries because then just the light goes out. It's not good.
See, at that point, if you did, I know. I'd be kind of like, if the light goes out, I'm not supposed to sew. Done. Game over.
What, are you going to go talk to your family or something?
That's crazy.
Like, vacation with kids is just parenting without all your stuff. Not easy. So I don't pack all that. Oh, it's bad enough I have to keep these people alive. Now I have to make something too? No.
So you don't travel and quilt or take things?
No, it's just like small hand stuff, and that's usually only in the car. And now I'm at the point where I tend to do more computer work.
So when you travel,
So
'cause
I will
used
design
to
a quilt in
travel,
the car.
I used to travel for business, and it was before I did hand piecing, but I would do crochet on the plane, especially in the winter. One, because when I was traveling, it was right when they were really strict about needles and scissors and stuff
Mhm.
like that. And you could have crochet hooks. They're still they were weird about knitting needles. So I crocheted on planes a lot. Sitting in first class crocheting. The guy sitting next to me be like, "Who's this crazy lady?" So
I tend to do more like, writing a pattern, writing a book, converting image files.
right.
Like,
Well,
just
I wasn't
computer-based
writing. I
stuff.
wasn't
Yeah.
writing patterns then, so I wasn't doing any of that craziness. I was just I'm doing it now. I know.
Right this minute.
Right now, I'm writing a pattern in my head, and it scares production staff. They never know what's going to come out. Creative.
Take some fabric and you sew it together.
No, you have to cut it up first.
Not with this one. A new pattern.
It's a new technique. No cutting involved.
No cutting, no sewing.
What? So, not our people. Okay.
Speaking of people, are you ready to hit the quilts and have the quilts hit you back? It's supposed to be a play on Hit the Road. Again, they can't all be gems.
It didn't work.
I know.
Sorry.
I needed more coffee before I wrote these. Anyway, leave us a comment. Be like, Pam, that was lame. You could do that on the blog or someone else's YouTube channel.
Pam needs help.
And that's all we have for this episode. Today's show is made possible by QT Fabrics. Learn more about their fun fabrics at qtfabrics.com.
We'd like to thank 77 Peaches, Big Think Productions, for helping produce The Stitch. If you've enjoyed the show, please like, share, and subscribe.
The next virtual stitch-in is Friday, May 11th at 7 p.m. U.S. Eastern, broadcast live on our YouTube channel. Our next book club episode is May 25th, and we're talking about applique books. My podcast, Tip to Be a Square, is out on Fridays on iTunes or Google Play.
All of those details and more can be found on our website, thestitchtvshow.com. Tune in next time for more quilting chat with friends.